Hi there, this is Megan from Voss Farms Cut Flowers, and today is a very exciting day. I am starting the very first seeds for the 2023 season, and I thought I'd give you a look behind the scenes of how it all happens. So today I'm going to be starting some of the slowest growing annuals and some perennials because it does take a long time to get these guys started. In particular, I'm going to be starting Lisianthus. And if you had watched me or followed me on Facebook at all last summer, I had started Lisianthus from seed, which is notoriously hard to start. And I got it to flower, but it took about 9 months from the seed start date until I could harvest the flowers. So here we are in the beginning of January, and I'm starting these seeds so that hopefully maybe I'll get them a little earlier this year, fingers crossed. So I'm going to get those started, and I kind of wanted to show you how I do it. So I use a method called soil blocking. Typically you may be the most familiar with the seedling flats, and they usually come in like 72 or 32 in a pack that you can buy. And I have started seeds that way. I do have a grow light seed starting system I set up in our basement that I use, and space is tight, so I need to kind of cram as many plants in there as I possibly can, and by the soil blocking method I'm able to get a lot more densely packed shelving plants on my shelving units down there. So how you do this is I have a special soil blocking mix. This isn't something that you can buy in the store. If you do the seedling flats for vegetables and things like that, that's a little fluffier, it's a little lighter, and because you're going to put them into the cell flats, the cell themselves holds all the soil together. Well, when you do soil blocking, you use this contraption. It's called a soil blocker, and you're essentially going to be making little mud pies, which my mother's so proud. I spent much of my childhood making mud pies, and here it's coming to fruition. So we're going to be making, there's 20 3/4 inch little blocks of soil that will hold together. And in the top of each of them, and I'll show you when I do it, the top of each block has a little dimple in it, and that's where the seed will go. And so then we'll water these, and the seedling will start to spread their roots. And in these cases, I may bump them up later on when they start to put on some growth, and move them and replant them into a cell, like a 72 cell flat, so they could grow on a little bit longer indoors here, since it'll probably still be too cold to plant them outside. But to get them started here at the beginning, I'm going to do the soil blocking. So the soil blocking mix, I said it was a little different. So this is mostly cocoa coir. You can use peat moss. I try and use a little bit eco-friendly option, which is cocoa coir. A little bit of, you could use compost. I use worm castings in this case. And then just some very, very light natural fertilizers in here, just to kind of give the seed a little bit of oomph to get started, but nothing too strong, because that can burn the roots and it can just fry those tiny delicate little seedlings. So that's all it is, and there is quite a bit of water in here. If you can take a look here, there is water that slides around, so it's kind of the consistency of kind of a sloppy oatmeal. And you can see I have a bucket in here. This is kind of the dry stuff that I had dumped out in here, and I added the water into my potting tray here, which is so nice. I can do it inside in my kitchen. I do have a hobby greenhouse in the backyard, but it's still a little cold and dark. I'm doing all my seed starting after my 2 boys go to bed, because, well, they are helpers, but they're more undoers than helpers. So they're better with the larger seeds, like the sunflowers. I let them help out with the sunflower seeds, because those are pretty big. The ones I'm doing today, the Lisianthus, it comes pelleted. And what that means is every seed is coated. So this is the Lisianthus seeds here, and they are tiny. So it comes in this little ampule, and they aren't normally yellow. That's the coating that they put on them so that I could see them, because they're like dust if they don't put this on there. So my little 3-year-old can't handle the dust quite yet. So maybe in some years. He can help me out, but let me show you then how I make the blocks. So to put the blocks on, I just use recycled or repurposed meat styrofoam trays. They're really handy because when we go to water these seedlings later on, we can't just pour overhead like with a watering can. That would just break up these little blocks that I'm making and just make them disintegrate, and then there's no soil there for the little roots to keep growing in. So we bottom water. So I'll pour water on the bottom, like the edge of the tray, and it will kind of feed across this tray, and then the soil blocks will suck it up from the bottom. So that way I'm not disturbing the delicate roots, I'm not going to disrupt the little blocks I'm making, and so that's kind of how this whole purpose, or how this whole system works. So this is the landing pad here, so I'm going to tilt you down so you can kind of get a better look at what's going on here on the counter. So I'm going to take my soil blocker here, and I'm just going to kind of circular, move it around. Hopefully this isn't too wet. It looks pretty sloppy, but yeah, this is too wet, I think. Because it is not going to stay in my blocker. No. So I'm just going to have to add a little bit more of my blocking mix. And I just get right in there with my hands. There's nothing gross in here, it's just that cocoa core and some worm castings. So I'll just kind of thicken this up a little bit. There, that's a little more. So you can kind of see some water, but it will maybe hold its shape a little better that way. All right, let's give it a second go here. Rinse my hand off a bit. See, and this is why it's so nice. This is why it's so nice I can do this in my kitchen, because I have a sink right here. Otherwise I'd have to, you know, track a hose out into the greenhouse and it would be cold, and it's just kind of handy to do some kitchen gardening. And see, this still is like a little. There we go. All right, so I'm going to scrape off the bottom, kind of like a measuring cup. You know, you only want so much. And then let me put you over here. So I'm going to stick it onto my, there we go. I'm going to set it on my styrofoam tray and just kind of give it a light press just to kind of form and push all of that soil blocking mix into the corners. And then you just kind of lift up. Oh, we missed one. Get off. There we go. And so this here is the soil blocks. You could see the little dimple in each one. And so that's right where that seed is going to go. And so I'm going to go ahead and do a second block. So there's 20 in one set of blocks. So I'm going to go ahead and do 40. And we're going to make this one of the first Lisianthus trays. So I'm just going to lift that up. All right, so I have 40 little blocks that I can sow my seeds in. Grab a towel and wipe my hands off with. Okay, so now when it comes to the Lisianthus, I laughed so hard, I have to tell you, I laughed so hard when I had first gotten the seeds. I thought it was so funny because, you know, I work in a hospital laboratory, and so like working with test tubes is a daily thing when I go to work, and so it's just so funny that here now I feel like I'm back at the lab with this little ampule full of tiny seeds. And then two, hey, before I start doing this, another lab crossover is the necessity to label everything so you know what it is, because so many seeds come up and you think you're gonna remember what it is, and you're not gonna remember what it is, especially these ones with 9 months later. Do you remember what they are? Especially because this year I'm gonna do a couple different varieties or different colors. So I have a purple, Lisianthus purple. I'm pretty excited. I'm really hoping that these are gonna come around when I have some really good sunflowers going. So just imagine like these purple Lisianthus, they kind of look like rose-like, and then with these big sunflower, bright yellow sunflower heads. I think that would be really pretty together. So that's kind of my plan for these. And then I have champagne colored, so like a nice peachy champagne, kind of a nice neutral you can put in with just about everything. So I'm gonna start some of these too today. So this tray here, we're going to turn into, I'm gonna label it Lisianthus purple. So we're gonna do purple. And then I'm also gonna put today's date that I am growing it so I can keep track of what exactly my timing is, because I do also want to succession plant. Which would be starting the same exact seeds just a few weeks apart. So that way I can have multiple flushes of the same flower, so that I can have one harvest and then a couple weeks have a harvest of the same flower, because who wants one and done? I mean, especially the Lisianthus, they are a phenomenal flower. They are so slow and they're so hard to start and they take forever, but they are just beautiful and they last forever in the vase. I mean, 10 days, easy. And they just asked my mother-in-law, she's like a huge fan. I had never grown them before, and they became my favorite flower, and I'm pretty sure they became her favorite one too. If only it was in blue. If I could get the blue Lisianthus, I didn't get any of that this year. Sorry. Next year, I'll get the blue for you. So anyway, so I'm just gonna pour some of these seeds into my palm, and hopefully I don't drop them. I do also have like a skewer, and so some people I have seen that do the same method. They'll like lick the tip of it and like touch the seed and like put it in the soil, and like, again, from the lab, you're like, you know, it's dirt and it's like fairly clean dirt. I mean, like, I know where it came from, but there's just still something about like licking the thing. I can't do it. So, I mean, maybe if I had like water, if I had like a little like wet sponge or something, that would be better, but no. So let me just like tip you down again here. Ah, there you go. All right, so I have my little seeds here, and luckily these are yellow, and it is very nice to see these. And so you just kind of pop one in. Some people will put in, I've seen some other flower growers where you can put multiple seeds into a cell to guarantee to kind of up the percentage that you'll have a viable seed that will sprout in each cell. When I do soil blocking, I don't really worry too much about that, because all I'm out is one tiny cell of soil. Oopsie, I got two in there by accident. So I feel like, see, maybe if I just like wet it in this water that's over here and kind of fish it out. Can you come out? Will you come out? Come out! Ah! There we go. So it's not like I have a full empty cell on like a big flat that I would be missing out on and like trying to care for and whatnot. So in this case, it's just, I don't worry too much. I'd rather get, try and get every seed to germinate that I can, because then what happens is if you do plant multiple seeds into a block, you have to go back and thin it. And like, then either you have to like kill it because you thin it, or you have to try and transplant it if you want to keep that viable seed and grow it on, which I'll show you pictures and I'll share photos when these finally do emerge and sprout, because the leaves are just about as tiny as the coated seed here. Like, it is almost impossible to even tell that they've sprouted. They're just so tiny. So I can't transplant that. That's just too tiny. I can't. I'd rather just go this route. I mean, and we all have our different reasons for doing things. But. So I'm just gonna pop one into each soil block here. And then when I'm done with these, oh, I didn't get my vermiculite. So let me run real quick after I try to put these back into their little ampule. Get in there. Oh, I think I crushed that one a little bit. Get in the ampule. And get in there. Okay, we did it. They're back in there. Let me run back real quick and I will get some vermiculite, which I'm just gonna kind of top dress my blocks with, and that will help hold some moisture and also prevent algae from growing, because these are going to be sitting in the grow room in my basement so long that green algae can grow, and it can actually like suffocate out your tiny seedlings because they're just like so tiny. So I'll be right back. Hang on. Here it is. This is the vermiculite that I'm going to sprinkle over the top, so it looks kind of like brownies with nuts. Now I'm going to add some nuts on top of my little brownie blocks. And again, that is just to help stop algae growth and to help keep these guys wet and moist, so that they will grow. So I'm gonna try and get some of the finer stuff. This is kind of big, so I'm just gonna sprinkle across the top. So last thing that I'm going to do with these Lisianthus soil blocks is I'm going to mist them very gently with some water, just to kind of help those seeds settle in. Also, because these are pelletized seeds, the extra moisture will help dissolve that, and then so moisture can get into the seed coating and allow it to sprout, and also just kind of push them a little bit down to get some soil to seed contact. So there you have it. That is what I'm doing right now in early January for the flower farm. And hopefully these guys will come up in, what is it? I think it even takes like 2 or 3 weeks for these guys even to pop up. So in a few weeks, I'll give you an update, and hopefully these guys will start to germinate, and I'll get rocking with the rest of my seedlings. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll keep you updated with what else is happening on the flower farm, and hopefully we'll have some more videos so you can get a real life background view behind the scenes of Voss Farms Cut Flowers. Bye.